What's going on, guys? We're back from drag week and look what's in the garage still. The single cab short box turbo truck. Now, I've always wanted a turbo truck for whatever reason. It just seems cool. It's like probably the ultimate sleeper. Like, you never think a pickup truck's gonna be quick, and then it is quick. And you're like, oh dang, I just lost a race. Last time on the build, we had the engine apart like this. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of damage to this cylinder here. We've also got the matching damage on this cylinder head here. And despite those things being broken, there still might be some usable parts in here. So we've got to disassemble this a little bit further. We've got to inspect the camshaft because that'll be one of the most vital things we can reuse, the timing set. And let's just see if we can get some parts out of this thing so we can rebuild Old Dirty over here. We can go ahead and pull out all these studs because these are going to be reusable. They're not quite ARP, but they're not quite not ARP. They're probably somewhere in the middle of stock head bolts and ARP studs. Actually, they do say ARP on them, but they were definitely different than my ARP. Oh, that's why they're different. Those are different sizes. So this is a new one to me. It's the first time I've encountered an LS where two of the bolts are actually shorter. And they appear to fit in the outside holes here. And I'm pretty sure that that aluminum block over there does not have short ones on the outside. They're actually long ones, so you might have to find another set of studs. I'll totally save this LS9 head gasket, you know, just in case. I don't think we'll end up reusing this one just because so much material's gone through it, but it doesn't hurt to have one. We'll pop our lifters out. We'll see what's in this thing for lifters. I don't even have a clue what that is. Looks like a stock lifter. Time to figure out what's behind cylinder head number 2. Look at this Black Sheep Industries manifold. This thing is nice. All stainless, all back purged. This is the easiest way to turbo your truck, right there. You just have to build a pipe that goes from the stock header on the other side to this one. Put the turbo there, that's it. Boom. Basically turboed. You can't even ask for any easier. We definitely verified that the one on the other side was exploded. Let's see if this one is. I can see an exhaust leak right here though. As I'm looking around at things, I'm finding fun stuff like parts of the piston sitting right here going into this cylinder. And it looks as if this one right here on the top side actually had parts of it going to here too, because it's all dented up on the top part of the piston. I love the part where I get to show off my big muscles. Oh yeah. Everyone was calling me John Rambo on drag week because the long hair and the sculpted body. Now I don't really care what order these come off in, so we're doing it NASCAR style. Start the timer. He's coming into the pit lane. Go! I think we failed though because a couple of them came out with the studs and then they didn't come out all the way, so. Still quick though. And what's behind door number 2? I hope it's chocolate cake. Come on. I'm just like moving the engine stand everywhere. This is stupid. Upon first inspection, it looks like this side is okay. Typically, it looks like this one back here. It does appear that this back one, it does have a bit of damage up here like we suspected because there was some material that was stuck in the intake and those little flakes probably came in here and went beat up here and on the head a little bit probably, and then got exited out the exhaust valve. And yeah, there's the matching battle wounds on the exhaust side. All the other ones look pretty good though. Oh, we take the front things off. Brum brum. At least there's not paper gaskets in there. That's kind of cool. Now this is it. This is for all the marbles right here. If this DeWalt impact can get off this crank bolt, then DeWalt is just as good as Milwaukee. You can't say anything about it because yellow is better than not yellow. it was even dead, which that means that bolt was not tight because that's supposed to be 240 something foot-pounds or something like that. Okay, that bolt, 200 something foot-pounds. That wasn't that. Is always the most scariest thing, pulling balancers, because you don't know if the tool is gonna break, if the balancer's gonna come. Luckily, this tool has been pretty reliable for me, but sometimes it's questionable if it's gonna break the tool or if it's gonna send the bolt into outer space. Like, next thing I know, I got a message from Elon Musk and NASA being like, hey, I seen that you put a bolt into space for like $3. We wanna know how you did it. We'd like to sign you up for a program, and then you gotta refuse them because you can't let them know your secrets. Now we get to take the cover off and see what kind of camshaft is in here. It's unknown, but I hope it's upgraded. Oh, it's got a double roller chain in it. That is not what I expected. A double roller chain is not what I expected to see in here. I've always been told that the single roller chain is fine. There's no reason to go double roller chain. But yeah, it's the first time I've seen one. Looks like the oil pump is pretty new, so we'll flip this thing over. We'll get the pan off it, we'll get the oil pump off it, we can take the cam out, and we can finally see what cam is in this thing. That's also a different cam gear. This one's made, this style cam gear is also made for like a Gen 4 cover, which there's no sensor on here, so I assume you could probably use it without any consequences, but yeah, that's definitely for a Gen 4 cam sensor that sits in the front. Now we get to make all the mess again. Sorry, floor. It's the only way I know how to do this. Oh, wow. Lots of goodies in here. This looks like a piece of the oiling ring on the rings. Oil scraper thingamajiggy. And then inside here is just like all sludge from exploded parts. According to that though, the piston rings were gapped like 30 thou. Yep. Right around 29, 30 thousandths. Anyways, let's get the oil pickup tube out of here. That is clogged full of stuff. We'll get the windage tray off, and then we can possibly pop out our piston, or we can pop out the camshaft. One of the two, but we'll be popping something. Definitely Gen 4 rods. And you can tell that they're Gen 4 rods by how big and beefy they are. But regardless of how beefy they are, they're never as good as a forged rod. Like, we bent these rods, but it took 38 pounds of boost. Hopefully none of these are bent. They might be reusable at some point, but for now, they're all getting yanked out. And let's start with number 7, because that's the one that's foobarred. I'm actually way too excited to pull this piston out. I just want to see the carnage on it. I don't think, have I destroyed a piston this bad? I might have. In my younger days, when we're using FMUs, which is like, if you're not old enough to know what an FMU is, basically it would just increase your fuel pressure by like 12 PSI for every 1 pound boost you added. And we wouldn't change timing, so eventually you run out of something and you would blow something up. Fun fact, finding more pieces of piston down here. Looks like something went through the rod bearing a little bit. Oh, that does not want to come out of the bore. That is way worse than I first thought it was. That is melty, dude. This thing got melty. Look at this. Oh, that's some carnage right there. So, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think happened was, there was a malfunction in the junction where it just made all of the boost. And this thing was on 91 octane fuel. It doesn't have a boost cut, so if you boost too high, it's not gonna do anything. So eventually, the boost got too much for pump gas, melted it down. That's some pretty severe carnage if I say so myself. Let's take a look and see what the block side did. The block side isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it's still pretty bad. Like, we're not gonna reuse this block by any means. Before I pull anything else out from this engine, I'm actually gonna get some floor cleaner because I'm just like stepping in oil and coolant and dragging it everywhere. So we're gonna get that cleaned up and then we'll be back out here after. See you soon. Now that we've got the floor semi cleaned up here, I'm still confused on why they put a double roller chain in this thing, especially for something that doesn't have a ton of lift on it. So it looks like you had to put those shims. At least it's a milling pump, which is good, but it also looks like the chain was rubbing on the numbers here on the backside. Oh, there we go. Take this stupid thing off. And this is a little trick that the internet taught me that I should pass along because the internet's valuable like that. Put some water pump bolts in the camshaft, and it just makes it easier to take out. Oh, we actually have an aftermarket cam in this thing. It's a comp cam, whatever a 54 330 11 is. Someone's gonna be like, yeah, that's the DAC cam. And I'm gonna be like, cool, bro. I'll tell you in a minute. Look at the cam bearings, and they appear to be bad. It appears to be a stage 1 cam with 598 lift on the intake and 600 lift on the exhaust. Perfect choice for a 4.8 5-liter cam-only turbo engines with unknown back pressure. We had a lot of back pressure. That's why we have this. New turbo! The typical on-the-shoulder boulder holder photo. Compared to the old turbo, this one's a giant. This is a True North turbo, 79mm, with a T4 back housing on it. So you're not gonna sacrifice that quick spool by having the T4 87mm back wheel, but you also have this nice, almost 80mm front wheel in it, which is gonna give you that power you want. So on like 8-10 pounds of boost, we're gonna make way more power than that old turbo was on like 20 pounds of boost. True North Turbos, check them out. It's our own company. We've been designing all these awesome compressor wheels. They're working awesome. There's one in my car. It's been performing phenomenal. Support your local Canadians. Get yourself a nice True North Turbo. We stand by the product. We know this thing will last. Make sure to check it out. Now that we've established the damage on this one, I got a little sneak preview for you guys. Remember the heads that were on my car? The China heads that obviously weren't very good? There's a surprise in these box. But you can't see it right now. You gotta subscribe to the channel and watch the next video. I like to call this one the Piston Launcher 2000, because once you start adding boost, basically it just starts eliminating pistons over here. And then NASA calls you up with a job offer because they're wondering how you launch a piston into space for less than 2,000 bucks, but you gotta decline because you're too busy building turbo trucks. My job's tough sometimes. Let's get that put away, let's get this bagged up and put away, and let's get this dirty old beast over here on a stand or something so we can start disassembling that one. Also, the cold is definitely coming. It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit right now. That's like 6 degrees Celsius, I think. I don't know. The conversion's weird. Water definitely freezes at 0 and boils at 100, so I don't know what y'all talking about. Fahrenheit's weird. And if you think one bag's not enough, you can also put a bag over your own head, just in case this one falls off. Here's motor number 2. And it looks like Peg from Zip Ties and Buy Supplies hauled this out of a junkyard to give to Dan at DD Speed Shop, and he wasn't grateful for it. But it is straight up gross. But Dan, come on. My boy Dan from DD Speed Shop, just about 100,000 subscribers, so y'all know what to do. Go over there, make it 100K, celebrate with a party, no pants. And now we literally have to do what we just did with the old motor and disassemble it and see what we're working with. Basically. It's so gross though, look at this. And then there's duct tape shoved in the holes. You know what, I was really years old when I realized it was duct tape and not duct tape. Like D-U-C-T and not does a duck with a bone or drag weeds. This might be the scariest moment, so we need this one to work. It's a little like dry up here, but that's probably because it hasn't seen oil in about 50 years. And there's no valve cover gasket, and that just fell out. It's like when you pull off her pants, and she's got a wiener, but it's smaller than yours, so you're like, yeah, I can work with this. Now there is one upside of using this motor over the last one. I know it's called engine, but I like saying motor. This one's an aluminum block, so it is 100 pounds lighter than the other one, but we're putting it in a truck that weighs like 5,000 pounds, so it's not gonna matter anyways. But we can tow things. Isn't that cool? We can tow things. It's always side number 2 that sucks too. It ain't bad. Get to show off my moose glaze again. My moose glaze are getting bigger. Oh. It smells like, as you lift pressure off the head gasket, it smells like burnt coolant and burnt oil. Just the way I like it. All right, let's see if this is our downfall. So the other head studs were actually short here, and I'm not sure which generation motor comes with which, but if this isn't short, which it actually looks different. Oh, that means we can reuse the head studs. Man, it really does smell like burnt ass oil though. This is what DeWalt's good for. Gross in there, but needs to be cleaned out anyways. That looks disgusting in there. However, we do have to clean it all up anyways. Pull the pistons out, clean those, put some new rings in it. The head looks fine as well, and we should be okay. Now I know some of you guys are wondering about those new heads over there, and yeah, I did tease you a little bit, but they will be going on my car. They're definitely better than the China heads that are on there. And really, we wouldn't have been able to get them without your guys' support. So thank you guys for supporting Black Sheep Industries and True North Turbos. And as you guys know, I am part owners of those companies. And Boosted Lifestyle will get you a discount at checkout. And we've got wastegates, blow-off valves, turbos, flanges, turbo drains, which is a really big one because no matter which brand turbo you have, a turbo drain is really essential. One of these things right here. It doesn't matter what turbo you have. If you don't have good drainage, you're gonna ruin the turbo. But once again, from my hearts to your hearts, thanks for supporting us, man. Once again, a little bit crusty, but we can work with that. All this work, just so we can have a turbo truck. Yeet this thing over the other way. Ooh, yeah. There's still a bit of stuff in it. Well, this one's been off once or twice before because there's nothing holding the windows tray on, but there's at least no gunk in the screen, so can't be bad if there's nothing in there. It looks like this thing's been dry for a while. And that is Gen 3 rods. That's not Gen 4 rods. Man, is it ever dry down here. Except for that part. Now the fun stuff, we get to start pulling pistons out. Well, that one came out much easier than the last one. However, that is a Gen 3 rod, so that is not going to work for us. Quickly pull the rest of these out. And I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh God. That first bolt was definitely not this tight. Almost lost the whole engine there. For whatever reason, this bolt is on with like a friggin' jackhammer. My DeWalt impact won't take it off. Wow. Finally got the front bolt. Sometimes you just gotta whack the heat to it and then it'll come off. Should have just started with that, right? Also, pulling off 2 balancers in the same video? Crazy, man. What am I doing nowadays? I actually really like this tool, except for the fact that they give you this little bendy ass rod that you should have just put a beefy rod in there. For this exact reason, it doesn't want to come off. There it goes. And that's the reason I don't like using the rod, because it gets a little bit bendy there. Perfectly straight, just like me. Quickly get rid of this oil pump. Camshaft. Well, by the looks of the camshaft lobes here in the middle, yeah, those bearings need to be replaced. If you don't look at the cam bearings, generally you don't need to replace them because they're not bad. But we definitely looked at them. We'll be replacing them. But there you have it. We basically have engine parts everywhere in the shop now. We might have went a little bit too hard on the LS engines, which means we should probably do something else for the next one. Man, my mullet is way too long now. I need to cut it. Let me just walk you through everything real quick. That's an LS engine. Those are LS heads. Those are LS heads. Those are LS heads. 2 sets of LS heads up there. That's an aluminum LS block. That's the iron LS block. There's an aluminum LS block behind there and another aluminum LS block right there. So we might have a slight issue with going fast for cheap, because that's the easiest way to go fast is just Gen 4 LS pistons and rods. Now we do have to make 1 engine out of 2 engines, but we're also going to need parts from a 3rd engine, because this motor was Gen 3 rods and pistons, can't use those. That one was Gen 4 rods, so those could be reused, but the pistons cannot be reused. I do have a box down here that has another set of Gen 4 rods and pistons in it. Yeah, like I said, 2 more sets of LS heads. This one's got 660 springs in it. All 4 of these are 799 or 243s, which are the good heads. Let's just say we got enough parts around here to build another LS. But now that we know what we're working with, we can start moving on and buying parts. Get some new cam bearings for this thing, some new rings, some new valve seals, some new head gaskets. We'll get this freshened up and get it back in the truck, because nothing's more exciting to me than having a little turbo truck. Like, I've talked about it probably 1.5 million times on the channel, and you know what? I'm just super stoked about it. I'll probably end up pulling the crank out of this thing so we can dingly ball hone it, get it all cleaned up, and start from a fresh base. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Go to boostedlifestyle.com for all your merch. Make sure you go check that out. And if you love truck builds, this one's for you. Peace easy. Get that, V.